Hello students, Mr. Yun here with our Chapter 8 vocabulary. These are some all these, this is a big lesson here on U.S. government. And all these words have to do a lot with U.S. government. It's a little different than your normal vocabulary in that much of it is very much categorically very similar. But let's go over it, and then you have a matching quiz on the next page. I don't think it would have been tough to use 5 of these in a story that wasn't awful to read. So, just a matching vocab quiz. You have 2 attempts, and let me know if you need another one. But let's run over this. So, popular sovereignty is the belief that the government is subject to the will of the people. Like when we say the government is of the people, by the people, for the people, that's because we're popular sovereignty. Limited government is government with limited powers strictly defined by the law. That one makes pretty good sense. Now, enumerated powers and reserved powers. Enumerated powers are powers specifically given to Congress in the Constitution, whereas reserved powers are powers that are reserved for the states. So, there you go. Either federal power or state power. Enumerated powers are given to Congress in the Constitution. Reserved powers are powers belonging only to the states. Concurrent powers are powers shared by the states and federal government. For example, there are state taxes and federal taxes. Those are both that's a concurrent power because both the federal and state governments can tax you. Separation of powers is a principle by which powers are divided among different branches to make sure no one branch has too much power. So we know that there's like a legislative branch, an executive branch, a judicial branch. That's the separation of powers. Let's see, implied powers. Powers not enumerated in the Constitution but suggested in its language. So if you imply something, it's not specifically said, but you kind of get the idea that it's there. That's an implied power. Judicial review is the power of the court to judge whether or not the actions of the other branches are constitutional. That's judicial review. That's basically when they're talking about things being unconstitutional. That is judicial review. Due process is the legal rules and procedures the government must observe before depriving a person of life, liberty, or property. So, for example, if you're accused of a crime, you have to go to a trial, and there's a court process. That is due process. They can't just throw you in jail. Now, equal protection is the equal application of law regardless of a person's race, religion, political beliefs, or other qualities. And naturalization is the process of becoming a citizen of another country. That's probably our easiest vocab word. Naturalization is basically becoming a citizen. So that's our vocab. Go ahead and knock out that quiz on the next page. If you have any questions, let me know. Multiple attempts. Let me know if you need another attempt. Otherwise, hey, have a great day, and we'll get started with lesson 1 tomorrow.